What's going on, Ole Miss fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Rebel Talk. It's your host, Zach Moreth. I'm back with Billy Kuhl. We're going to try and say that correctly. It's going to be a work in progress, so you guys just bear with me. But Billy and I are back, man. We're here to discuss a little bit about the Citadel, but before we get there, we have a pretty, important Lane Kiffin update for you guys that we're going to preview in the middle of the show. But the most urgent news coming out of the Ole Miss Athletics Department is that early access tickets will be provided to students who have, one, attended the most home games so far, and two, who stay till the fourth quarter where they will find out some sort of code they can enter their phone, which will be posted on the video board that they can put in their phone and then be entered for early access tickets. So long story short, they're making sure that these students are staying for the full games against Citadel and Florida in order to get early access tickets for the 2026 season. We talked about it. My idea was half-price alcohol. That was never going to be a reality. I was kind of just living in fantasy world. But Ole Miss actually did something, and I really credit the athletic staff, man. I wasn't sure how they were going to go about that, and I'm not too sure how effective it's going to be versus Citadel, but at least they went out and are trying something new. I think that's the right step, or a step in the right direction towards getting students to stay like they do at a lot of these other schools. Billy, what do you think about the whole situation?
Yeah, you hit it right on. That's a great job from the athletic department. Not sure how much of a factor he had in this, but Keith Carter, one of the best in the game. I mean, he's going
Easily.
to find a way.
Yeah,
But I really agree with it because, I'm up in the press box I was trying to do the math. I think at the end I'm going to be half in the game and half in the box. So I
splitting time.
Yeah, no, not good for my ticket chances, but I really like what they're doing because I find people to give my tickets to that are actually going to go to the game, and I know the people that I'm giving them to are staying the whole
1,000%,
time.
dude.
So,
And hey, I mean, there's nothing wrong with watching Austin Simmons slinging around a little bit. Like, the kid, if he ends up staying, he's going to be quarterback one next year. And, we get a little, I mean, he hasn't played in a long time, dude. So just stay, watch the team. There's a pretty good chance a guy like Shakai Mills-Knight is going to get a lot of carries in this
excited to
game.
see him, actually.
Yeah.
We'll get back into that.
So
But
even a freshman wide receiver like Caleb Cunningham, the dudes are a lot of these freshmen are probably going to get a chance to play. So it's going to be, relatively exciting, despite Ole Miss probably being up by a pretty large amount. But all in all, I think that's the right move from Ole Miss.
we can see AJ Maddox.
See, I think AJ's going to be really good, man. The guy can run and he's got a cannon. So shout out to AJ. And maybe his brother Andrew over on the D line. Like, these are probably guys that you're going to see in the Vaught. Moving into the Lane Kiffin stuff, there's quite a few rumors. We're not here to confirm or deny. We're just here to, kind of keep you guys in the loop. There's rumors that he's potentially meeting with Florida online sometime this week. Again, he's not a lock to Ole Miss. There has never been a lock with Lane Kiffin. If I had to pick today, I'd still pick Ole Miss, but the fact that he hasn't signed his extension when several other coaches around the country can tell you that he's at least semi-interested in Florida. So these message board reposts, whether they're true or not, they shouldn't surprise anybody. The bottom line is that Ole Miss comes in at the 6th rank in the college football playoffs. And if the playoffs started today, they're hosting Virginia, where they would probably be 12.5 or more point favorites in the first round of the CFP. You can't draw it up better than that. Wanted to get your thoughts on college football playoffs, Kiffin, we're back. This is our every podcast update, Billy. What do you got?
Like you said, I'm still pretty confident he stays in Oxford. I mean, I still just can't see him leaving, but I do understand the business side of it, and I understand why he hasn't quite signed just yet. You got to keep all your options open. He's a great businessman, so I understand exactly what he's doing.
Moving into CFP, Billy, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, to move into that, where they're currently slotted, Virginia, yes, they'd have the first home game in school history for the playoffs, which would be quite an electric atmosphere. And I actually looked into it last night for all the Ole Miss students that are trying to plan their flights. If that stands, they would play the weekend after finals ends. So the 19th and the 20th. So plan accordingly if you want to drive or if you want to hold off on those flights like I will be doing. Plan accordingly. But I just would be nervous about the second round. Virginia, don't get me wrong, great football team this year. Kind of out of nowhere, too, might I add. So it's been really cool to see them every week just go out there and win games, become a playoff contender. But I'm not sure about if they're matched up for Ole Miss. Don't quote me, Virginia fans, if this comes to fruition. But A&M is currently slotted in that 3 spot, which would be the game after, and that would be one crazy game, to put it appropriately.
It would be unreal, and Marcel Reed is absolutely one of the biggest threats, especially to an Ole Miss defense that tends to struggle with dual threat guys. By the way, they're landscaping outside my house, if you guys can hear that. That's why I have AirPods in, so let's just bear with that. But like Billy said, man, A&M would be an absolute bloodbath. Got to get past Virginia first, but this isn't a disrespect towards Virginia. If you're looking at all the college football playoff teams in that ranking, yeah, I think Virginia fans can admit they're probably one of the weaker teams out of all of them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're hosting a playoff game, yeah, you're probably going to play a weaker team in the first round. I also want to come out and say that there's a lot of games that have to be played. And
Yes.
if Ole Miss takes care of business, there's a chance that they can end up in the top 5, which is unbelievable. Georgia still has to play Texas. Arch Manning looks great. Georgia still has to play Georgia Tech, who's been shaky, but that's a rivalry game. You never know what's going to happen. Bama has to
Look at
play
last year,
Oklahoma.
Georgia Tech. Sorry to cut
Yep.
you off.
No, but you're
I
damn
mean,
right, dude.
Georgia had to do everything. They spent it all.
At home. Like,
Yeah.
those are those games where you never know. I'll go a step further. Bama's got to play Oklahoma. There's a lot of things that have to shake out to keep these rankings the same way. And we have to play state. But I guess what I'm getting at is if Ole Miss takes care of business for Citadel in Florida and is a top 5 team going into state, even if you lose that game, I don't think you can drop the Rebels out of the playoffs just because it's a rivalry game. But I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to take my mental psyche to that state. Let's just win out, handle business, host a playoff game, maybe get a bye, and really make a run at the college football playoffs in a year that wasn't even supposed to be a college football playoff team for Lane Kiffin. Anything else there on that front, Billy?
I kind of even think that it could be beneficial for Ole Miss to just win out, and then also Bama and A&M to win out and just kind of hold a spot. I don't necessarily think Ole Miss. Actually, I know Ole Miss does not have to play in that SEC championship game to earn a playoff spot. So they're in a great spot themselves, and I think either way you play in it or not, depending on why you don't play in it, of course. I think they're in a good spot, and I think they will make the playoffs regardless.
Yeah, things are trending nicely. And it starts by obviously handling business this weekend. The Citadel, they're a 4-5 team. It's been a weird year. For example, they got lost to Mercer 38-0, which is, I don't know. I mean, that is just, it's hard to do. But then they turn around and they've won a couple really close games. So this is a team that shouldn't be a problem at all for Ole Miss. It's one of those games that typically happens early in the season for Ole Miss. And fortunately, I think it's coming at a pretty good time. It'll give Kewan Lacey a game to hopefully sit back and rest his body for a little bit. I mean, the dude's taking 20, 30 carries every single game. So you'd hope that once Ole Miss takes a comfortable lead, he's taken out of the game. And reminder, Citadel was tied with 2019 Alabama. So let's not have that happen. Ole Miss came out sleepwalking against Washington State. I mean, you got to go out there, handle business. Let Austin Simmons get some snaps and let Trinidad sling it a little, man. I want him to get some confidence rolling going into that Florida game. What are you looking for this weekend?
I'm looking for exactly that. Trinidad get back on track. I said it last week. I'll say it again. Completion percentage needs to go up. He's sitting at 60% on the year, and that's not completely terrible, especially when you throw for 300 yards against Oklahoma with under 60%. But it's more of a, if you go out and you get a couple easy completions early, you're going to find a rhythm and you're not going to come out sleepwalking like you did against Washington State. So, yeah. And I also think that this Ole Miss running back room is more talented than we get to see because Q1 takes on that many carries and is that good. They kind of don't need to go into Logan Diggs, Damian Taylor, and Shakai Mills Knight all that often, but those are still some great backs back there. So I'm looking for them to get some opportunity and take the load off Q1 a little bit this week. But I still think he'll touch 100 yards on like 15, 20
Yeah,
carries.
I tend to agree that Lane typically tends to run that way as well. What are you looking for defensively, brother?
You just stay under marks. They are a team that likes trickery. I don't know if you saw their play against Furman. It was pretty sick.
I
I'm not
did
gonna
not.
lie.
Is it good?
It
I
was
got to
so
study
cool.
up.
It was. This wasn't even research. I was just on Instagram Reels, and I was like, "Oh, we play that in like 2 weeks."
Well,
But
dude, we touched on it briefly, but they do all this triple option stuff. I do think it'll be good for the defense to see a completely different type of look that we've really never seen before.
I agree, and they are a military academy school, so they're gonna be. Lane touched on this. Everyone's touched on it. They're gonna be well coached and they're gonna be disciplined. So you're gonna actually have to earn your yards. You're not gonna live off penalties. So
Yep,
I see that as being a big factor because sometimes, depending on the week, Ole Miss relies heavily on penalties and such,
absolutely.
or
I
shoots
go ahead.
himself in the foot.
Yep. No, one of the two typically. So I think I'm really looking for a guy like Antonio Kite. I think
Mhm.
his presence was greatly missed last week. So whether he needs to sit out again, whether he needs to take light reps, get him back into the mix. He's easily become DB one or two on the Ole Miss secondary. So I think get his presence back, make him comfortable, get him rested for that Florida game, whatever it takes. And for the linebacker room as well. Andrew
Yeah,
Jones is
I was
really
about to
taken
touch on that.
on. He's brought on just a whole new level of energy, and he complements TJ Dottery perfectly, similar to how Pooh Paul did last year. And I want to see them continue to, shoot those gaps on the run plays, work a little bit better, more efficiently in coverage, and really own that middle of the field because they did it against Carolina, and I want them to replicate it. And most importantly, get momentum going into this Florida game. Emotions are going to be flying high, so play a disciplined football game, improve a little bit, and carry that juice into Florida. That should be the recipe for the entire team. Another game where Carnero is probably going to have to make some field goals, especially late in the game, as if Ole Miss isn't pressing on touchdowns the entire game. So the message is simple. I mean, this momentum that they've had is going to have to carry on and then be used into Florida. That's really all I have for this game.
Don't we have a backup kicker too? We might not even
Yep,
see Cordero in the fourth.
fair enough. Yeah, yeah. I think his name's Mike Baker. Hold
Yes,
on.
that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I know it's Baker.
Shout out to Mike Baker. He went to Loyola in Chicago. That's like right down the street from me. Hopefully, he gets some snaps, dude.
Speak on that Loyola Chicago. I gotta ask. You saw it, right? Their home opener or the season opener.
What was it?
The first game after Sister Jean, they hit a game winner at the buzzer,
No.
like prime March Madness Loyola Chicago.
Oh man, dude. R.I.P. Sister Jean. What a legend. I mean, they went on some crazy runs, dude.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna lie. That's
what a
crazy.
year.
So hopefully, Mike, Mike, we're special teams pod. We want to see you out there, brother. Shout out to him,
And
Bird,
hopefully,
all those guys, man.
hopefully we don't see Oscar Bird.
Right. Yeah. Let's not even, no need to punt this week. Just score relentlessly. All right, Billy, anything else on this game before we get out of here?
I think you got it all. Andrew Jones, I'm looking for another big week. I think Jaden Yates will still be fine. Linebackers are going to play a big factor because of the triple option kind of Army style
Yeah.
football that they play. I think you got it all.
All right, man. It's another game to improve, to get Ole Miss fans ready for what will be the largest crowd of the year against Florida. It will be all hell breaking loose, and just 60 minutes of madness in the Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Until then, be sure to stay tuned to therebelwalk.com. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Anything else, Billy? Are you all set, brother?
Want to know. Got to go want to know this week.
Let's do it, guys. Howdy toddy and go Rebs.